Hey Quad Bros, what's going on, guys? Hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to my plane guide. This video has been in the works for a long time. It is my most requested video by far. Lots of people have been asking me, Quadro, please make a plane guide. Please make a plane guide. I don't know how to fly. I keep crashing all the time. I can't get kills. I can't do anything. And let me tell you guys something. Let me let you in on a little secret. Neither can I. I am also really bad at flying. That's why this video has taken so long. I had to learn how to fly from scratch. So if you guys are out there and you're struggling with flying, let me tell you guys, it gets better. You will do better. You will learn how to do it. And hopefully this guide gives you guys a jumping off point, because that is the goal. I'm not going to be going super in depth. If you already know how to fly in Enlisted, if you already are getting 20 kills a bombing run and you're looking for something that is an in-depth guide, this ain't it. This is a video for you new guys who don't know how to fly, who are struggling to even do a single bombing run without crashing into the ground, just like me a couple weeks ago. This guide is for you guys, and I'm going to hopefully give you guys a jumping off point for learning how to fly. Now remember, guys, if you guys enjoy the video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Without further ado, let's start talking about the different kinds of planes in Enlisted and their different roles, so we have a decent overview of the planes. So guys, for this video, we are going to be using the American planes because this is the faction that I've played the most. I have the farthest campaign in, and it is the ones that I have the most footage for in all reality. Now, this doesn't mean that the other factions are not going to benefit tremendously from this video if you have no idea how to fly. It just means that, specifically speaking, these, those planes might handle slightly differently, or you might want to use them in slightly different ways, but the general information in this guide is going to be relevant across the board no matter what plane you're in. So don't worry if you were playing the Moscow campaign as the Germans or the Russians or something like that. All of this information is still going to be very relevant to you no matter what. So let's start off talking about the two different kinds of planes in this game. There are fighters, whose role is air superiority. They tend to have a lot of machine guns. They tend to be very fast. They tend to have very, very high agility for dogfighting. They can turn on a dime. They will be able to outrun, outmaneuver enemy planes because that is their role. That is their job. So for the Americans, that is the P-38G. Now, fighters tend to have very little in the way of like ground support. They don't fire a lot of bombs. They don't drop a bunch of, they don't fire a lot of rockets. They don't drop a bunch of bombs. So their job is to take down enemy planes. Now, they do tend to have some sort of anti-ground capabilities, whether it's through the machine guns or through the M8 rockets here on the P-38. But these rockets are much less effective than their bomber counterparts, like the Bf-110 for the Germans. And those of you that have seen that plane in action, you will know that, yes, the rockets on the Bf-110 are much, much more powerful than the M8 rockets. And I'll talk about how to use these in both situations, but for the most part, guys, you guys need to understand that fighters are meant for air superiority. They're not meant for, strafing the ground, bombing the ground. That is not their role, and you shouldn't be expecting them to perform well in that role. Now, bombers, on the other hand, for the Americans, is the A-20. This plane in particular is a monster. Bombers are meant to blow up the ground. They tend to be very slow. They do not perform well in dogfighting. They are not good for that, and you shouldn't be using them for that. You should be using these planes for bombing the ground, for dropping bombs on the enemy positions. And you'll see in these clips that I'm going to be showing you here soon that they are very, very effective in that role. It is very fun to use the A-20. So if you guys have been using the fighters, the P-38s here, and you just keep dropping rockets and you're just not doing anything, and you're just getting frustrated because it's like planes should be able to support the ground troops, please just wait for the A-20. Just wait for the A-20. Wait for the bombers. Use the bomber planes because they will totally change things. You can get 15 kills easy with a couple bombing runs in the A-20 or other fighter bombers and bombing planes in Enlisted. So just hold in there, guys, and you will eventually get them. So let's start talking about in-game, how you should be using these planes, and kind of the basics of flying in Enlisted. So you guys are going to use your mouse wheel here to aim your guns. You can right-click to zoom in a little bit. Aiming with your mouse will actually kind of turn your whole plane, so really I only use that for aiming. You can use W and S to tip the nose of your plane up and down, A and D to roll left and right. You can use Q and E to micro adjust and yaw to the left and the right, usually use that for bombing runs. 1 and 2 will change your flaps. You can see those up in the top left corner. You can 2 makes them go down all the way to, I believe, landing. But again, don't worry about your flaps. I'll talk about them later. Then if you want to turn your plane, you're going to turn and roll and then pull up on the nose to turn the plane. You can see I dropped the throttle with the mouse wheel all the way down to 0 to have a tighter turn, because the lower your speed, the better turn you're going to have and the tighter turn you're going to have. So keep that in mind whenever you're dogfighting and you want to turn your plane. You can also use C to look around and have free look inside the cabin, I guess. The cockpit, I guess, is the actual correct word of your plane. And this is really important for being able to find enemy planes. You'll see me do this in a lot of clips here. So those are the absolute basics of flying, guys. Let's talk about dogfighting really quickly, and then let's talk about bombing, which I think is the most important part of flying in Enlisted. So here, guys, you're going to notice I just came out of a bombing run. I'm going to be looking around me and just looking to see if anyone's on my tail. I'm going to see 30 mil firing in the distance there, so I'm going to hit my combat flaps, because combat flaps give you better maneuverability and turning. So I'm going to hit those, quickly turn around here, and I'm going to slide in behind this guy who's not paying attention and is not looking around himself, and this is going to be easy pickings for me, and I'm going to net myself an easy vehicle kill. Now I'm going to aim for that little reticule there and just unload. Your guns will not overheat, but you do have limited ammo, so just keep that in mind. I haven't really run out of ammo while dogfighting, so it's not a huge deal. But the rule of thumb here, guys, is make sure that you're always looking around yourself, paying attention to where the enemy is, so you can always get the drop on them, because if the enemy doesn't know you're there, they are easy picking. So always keep your head on a swivel, always use that C key, and make sure you finish off your enemies and know that they're dead. So let's take a look at a different clip here, where I am going in for a bombing run here. So I can see some marks, so I'm going to fire some shots. And same thing here, I'm just firing some shots, trying to find out where some enemies are. Maybe I can drop some rockets somewhere. We'll talk about bombing it here in a little bit, guys, but here, drop some rockets. And right there, I don't know if you guys heard, go back if you didn't, but there's a 30 mil that fires, and I don't know if he's firing at the ground or if he's firing at me. I have no idea, but I know there's an enemy plane around, so I'm going to immediately turn around, look behind me, and I can see that he's trying to get behind me, so I'm going to go into full combat maneuvers, try to drop down below where he's at, and you can see a little red icon at the top of your screen there is going to show that, yes, I do get below him, and that means that he has lost sight of me. He has no idea, so I'm going to be just trying to turn around here. He's got no idea where I'm at, and I don't really know where he is, but I know that I have better maneuverability, a better plane for dogfighting, and so I'm going to just do everything I can to find out where he is and maneuver around him, and I finally do spot him. I see that he is to my left and above me. He has no idea that I'm here because I'm below him, and it's really hard to see below you. And I'm going to fly in behind him. And I do make a little mistake here. I overshoot him, and he should have immediately, as soon as he heard that 20 mil firing, he should have dropped down, gotten out of the way, immediately tried doing everything he can to get me off of his tail, but he doesn't. And even though I made this kind of dumb mistake here, I'm able to just swing in behind him. So guys, again, keep your head on a swivel. Get below the enemy fighters, get below the enemy planes, and basically break line of sight with them, because if they know where you are, it's going to be much easier for them to be able to shoot you down and get behind you. And see, this guy, again, he's got no idea. He totally lost track of me, and I suddenly appear behind him, and there's nothing he can do in this situation. He is gone. He is dead. This is a lights out enemy plane. I am more maneuverable. I am better in the air, and I'm able to take him down, even though he originally had the drop on me. Now, before we can blow up the entire enemy team with our amazing bombing runs, guys, we need to talk about how to actually do the bombing run. And it is very simple in theory and incredibly different in practice. So you're going to basically want to have your airspeed as low as possible, your altitude as low as possible, your throttle basically 0 most of the time, and your flaps in combat. The reason for all of this is to make your bombing runs as accurate as possible and to give yourself as much time as possible to drop your rockets or drop your bombs, because that way your bombs will be more accurate and your rockets, you will have time to adjust and fire at the big groups of enemies that you see as you fly in. The other reason is that a lower airspeed will make it easier for you to pull out of your dive. If you're going too fast, your plane will compress downward and the air will push your plane down, and you won't be able to pull out of your dive, and you will crash full speed into the ground in a giant fiery explosion. So again, guys, low airspeed, low throttle, low altitude, flaps in combat, and then as soon as you drop your payload, you're going to want to put your flaps back up. You're going to want to pull the nose of your plane back up as hard as you can and gun it on your throttle, and you should, if you did everything correctly, drop a nice accurate payload on whatever target you were trying to hit, and then also be able to fly out of there to rearm. So we've learned how to fly, we've learned how to dogfight, and we've learned how to do our bombing run. So all that's left is where to drop the bombs themselves? And this is a question that changes every single match, every single map. So it's just an unanswerable question, but I can give you guys some general rules of thumb and some best practices on where to drop your payload, and also how to drop your payload is also really important. So first off, guys, the best thing you can do is get some friends in your game with you, or get some, you know, some good teammates. If you had a great game with someone, add them, join in with them, or just ask your team in chat, say, hey guys, give me some marks, tell me where the enemy is at. And then when you're going in, drop your bombs on wherever those marks are at, because generally speaking, you really do need those marks unless you're using the giant 500-pound bombs, in which case you can just kind of drop them anywhere and kill people. But if you're using the rockets, you especially need those marks. They're going to help you out a lot for getting kills. The other good places to drop them are enemy objectives, enemy spawns where you know the enemies are definitely going to be at, and also try to drop them around objectives where enemies might be using cover. And if you're going in slow enough, you'll actually be able to see where the enemies are at. With your rockets, you want to make sure, like you can see here, you don't just fire them in one big burst. You want to spread them out, because the difference between spreading them out and not spreading them out is the difference between getting 15 kills and getting 5 kills. This is especially important on all of those rockets, guys. So don't just spam the R key or spam the rocket key. Make sure that you are spreading your rockets out as you fire them. Don't just blast them all in one spot. Spread them out and hit a bunch of different places. Like you can see there, I hit 3 different places and got about 2 or 3 kills with each rocket. That's the basics of flying, guys. That is flying in a nutshell. Hopefully, you guys have gotten something out of this, some basic flight. I know that this is not a super in-depth guide to flying, but I wanted to just get something out there for you guys who are really struggling and are constantly asking me, Quadro, can you please make a plane guide? I keep crashing to the ground. I can't figure it out. I don't know what I'm doing. Because I feel that, you know, I like I said, guys, it took me a long time to figure out how to even be able to do a bombing run without crashing, let alone a bombing run where I actually get some amount of kills and contribute to the team. So hopefully you guys are no longer going to be crashing full speed into the ground, and hopefully something in this video is helping you guys out with flying in one way or another. Now, guys, if you enjoyed the video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help me out. I think we just hit 2,000 subs, which is unbelievable. The amount of love and support that I've been getting from you guys is fantastic. It is, I have no words, really, guys. I don't. So thank you so much for that, guys. Remember, you can also come hang out and follow me on twitch.tv/HeyQuadro if you want to watch me crash planes all the time, or, you know, tank, do whatever, hang out, play some games. You can also join my community Discord and join in on some fun games there. Bunch of awesome people, always playing Enlisted, always getting some great teammates there. And finally, I send all of your awesome clips to the email in the description, or on Twitter to me, or on Discord for the Quadro clips of the week that I'll be putting out here soon. And without anything else, guys, have a great day. I hope the video helped you guys out, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.